If you have ever felt guilty when trying to declutter and need some help about what to do about it, this is the video for you. I'm going to be discussing the 8 common types of decluttering guilt and a tip about how to combat each one. Hello and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah, and on this channel I create videos related to helping you live your best life with less. So if that sounds something exciting to you and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing that. Today's topic's tough because decluttering is a tough process already, but it even becomes more difficult when we add in some of the feelings of guilt and fear and insecurity that really can stall us and prevent us from actually making the progress we want in our space. So because of that, I wanted to walk you through all 8 types of decluttering guilt. I'll be giving you a tip or strategy for every single type, but if you do like what you see in this video and are looking for more depth or more information and strategies about how you can tackle guilt when decluttering, you might like the new ebook, Declutter Without Guilt. This 40-page guide I put together takes a much more in-depth look at these 8 categories and gives specific strategies that you can conquer your clutter no matter what the situation is. I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end of the video, but if you want to check it out, the links are in the description field of the video. Let's begin. The first type of guilt is financial guilt. This is the type of guilt where you might have purchased something but not actually used it and gotten your money's worth, or you might have something that you think is valuable, and so you don't just want to let it go and miss out on that value. A great strategy for financial guilt is to challenge yourself in a week to put it to the test. If it's a piece of clothing, wear it. Actually take action, which will then give you the clarity to make a final decision on the item. Next up is family guilt. This is often the case if you've had a loved one pass away and you've got their items. Family guilt often occurs when you want to get rid of certain items, but they belonged to a loved one or a family member. And so it becomes a little bit more difficult and you feel kind of bad for having those thoughts about getting rid of it. With family guilt, it's really important to think about quality over quantity. Don't try to save everything that belongs to this person. Identify the top and most quality items that are most meaningful and keep those instead. Next up is gift guilt. This is when you've received gifts that you don't actually want or won't use, but you feel guilty about getting rid of it because it was a gift. The best workaround here is communication. Maybe you can't make a difference for those gifts that have already accumulated in your space or already been gifted to you, but you can definitely prevent it in the future. Be more clear about what types of gifts you want or don't want. Suggest alternatives to getting a traditional gift. And be honest with saying that you're on a more minimalist journey and you don't actually feel the need to have these excess possessions. Maybe you can opt for experiences instead, or even giving back. That can be very helpful to do in advance. So if you've got some big holiday gatherings coming up, even in a couple months, maybe consider having those conversations now just to get that out of the way and not have to confront that guilt in the future. Next up is societal guilt. This happens when we might think that we don't need something anymore, but society doesn't necessarily agree with that. We might be told through messages in the media or from just other people we interact with that we must have a certain item to be happy, or it's very important to have this many of this particular item. The key tip to remember is that this is your path. This is not anyone else's journey. You set the rules for your own journey, even if it's different than other people. Remember that. The 5th type of guilt that we might experience when decluttering is environmental guilt. If you are a big fan of environmental issues and want to have a smaller impact on the world in terms of your environmental footprint, it can feel disheartening to know that a lot of the items that we get rid of do ultimately end up in the landfill. However, the mindset we need to have is that unfortunately, everything will at some point be trash. Even if it's not through your doing, at some point in life, it's going to likely end up there. Whether it happens now or later, the damage has been done. So even though it's not a happy thought to know your stuff might go to the landfill, it was going to go there eventually. Focus on more mindful consumption in the future. The next type of guilt that comes up often is nostalgia guilt. when we feel nostalgic about some of our past experiences. It might feel sad to let go of these items, especially if there were a lot of positive memories from a different phase of life. However, the mindset shift here. Our lives are designed to be moving forward. We're not going back, we're not living in the past, we want to be moving forward. And so having too many of these items, even if they're positive memories, having too many of these items from our past can sometimes trap us in the past. And even if there are beautiful moments there, you don't know all of the beautiful moments that are yet to come in your life. So it's important to make sure that we're not spending too much time looking backward and instead we continue looking forward. The seventh type of guilt, which could also be one of the most common types of guilt for people, depends on the person obviously, is just in case guilt. The feeling that you probably can get rid of something, but there's that voice in the back of your head that's saying, well, just in case, don't get rid of it yet. And we might feel guilty about wanting to get rid of something when it's still perfectly useful and it could theoretically be useful in the future. If you're dealing with just in case guilt, let's get really practical and numerical. When was the last time you used it? And when is the next time you'll likely use it? And use the answers to those questions to help validate your decision. If it's used regularly or at least moderately frequently, then it could be something to keep. But if you really haven't used it and you don't anticipate yourself using it, let it go. And the last category of guilt that's very common when decluttering is identity guilt. And in the case of identity guilt, it has to do with the association that certain items are connected to who we are as a person. And these items can feel especially personal when we're trying to let go of them because we might fear that if we let go of these items, we are losing part of ourselves. The key mindset shift here is that we have to understand that we are not our stuff. And our stuff does not define who we are. We define who we are. So when we take some of that power away from that stuff, we can appreciate its existence, but we don't have to feel chained to keeping it because getting rid of it does not change who you are. So those are the 8 common types of decluttering guilt that we might face. And I gave you one tip for each strategy, but let's be honest, this is a difficult topic. And well, hopefully those strategies are helpful. One strategy is not likely enough to cover most items that you might be struggling with. That's why I wrote Decluttering Without Guilt, and that's why there is so much more depth about each one of these topics. Each topic has an overview about it and some of the feelings you might have experienced with it. There is a reflection sheet to kind of see where you're at and what progress needs to be made. There's details about mindset shifts that you can make. I talked about some of those mindset shifts in the video, as well as specific strategies that go step by step for all these different types of clutter. So really, I've shared just the surface today. If you think that you would benefit from having that additional tool to help you with any type of decluttering paralysis you're experiencing, I definitely recommend to check out my book. Now, the official price is $12, but if you are ordering it within the first week, you do get 25% off, which will come in at $9. Putting this guide together has been such a joy, and I feel like a lot of the questions I often get have to do with people struggling with these kind of situations and feeling like they're held back. I wanted there to be an easy resource you can go to that's manageable, that's actionable, that you can actually use to help make the progress that you need going forward, and hopefully feel the ability to not be stuck by these roadblocks, but to continue making that progress towards a more minimal future. This guide is in PDF form, and there's both a printable version as well as a digital version that you can actually edit on the document directly and type on the document directly using the free Adobe Reader program. Again, the link to learn more and order the book is in the description field below. Of course, if you've got any questions, you can leave those in the comments below or email me at sarah@abundantlyminimal.com. I can't wait to hear all about your transformation and any of your feedback. Happy decluttering. Bye.